Alright, couple more weeks it'll be postseason time. The field isn't settled yet, but we got a pretty good idea which teams will be there. Too early to make World Series predictions, I'd say, but with the teams that are sure to be in the postseason, it's fun to imagine what kind of World Series matchup we might see a month from now. So today I've got 12 potential World Series matchups that people would love to see, for one reason or another. Not ranked in any particular order, but if you've got a top 3, top 5, whatever, list of possible World Series pairings, leave a comment and let everyone know. Anyway, here we go. Cubs and Red Sox. Anytime these two reach the postseason, people will inevitably bring up the possibility of a World Series going back and forth between Fenway and Wrigley, MLB's two classic ballparks, both over 100 years old. You would think this would have happened by now, but the two teams have never met in a World Series. Both teams have a long history of not reaching the World Series, but that's changed in the 21st century. It's the matchup everyone was hoping to see in 2003. Both teams were in the League Championship Series. Both had not won a World Series in over 80 years. Both were just 5 outs away from getting there, and then neither one made it. Seems like a World Series we were destined to have and then never got. The curses may be broken, but it would still make for a great series. Cubs and Yankees, the lovable losers and the evil empire, two of America's most popular teams. These two did meet in the World Series, twice, but hardly anyone alive today remembers it. 1932 when Babe Ruth made his famous called shot, and 1938, both resulting in 4-game sweeps for the Yankees. This matchup looked a lot better earlier in the season, when both teams were leading their divisions, and Judge and Pete Crow Armstrong were the MVP frontrunners. Judge is still there, but PCA is nowhere near MVP discussion, and both teams will likely get in as wildcards. Still though, the Yankees' long history of winning and the Cubs' long history of losing make this an intriguing matchup people have wanted to see for a long time. How about two teams that have never won a World Series? Padres and Mariners. Padres have been around since 1969, never won it. Mariners since 1977, never won it. Padres only have one World Series win in 1984 when they lost 4-1 to the Tigers. In 98 they were swept by the Yankees. Mariners have it even worse. They're the only current MLB franchise that has never appeared in a World Series, through 48 years of existence. Imagine how hyped Mariners fans will be just to be in the World Series. And for San Diego sports fans, they've never won a championship in any Big Four sports league. Unless you count the 1963 AFL Championship, that was before the Super Bowl era. Both cities have a history of losing sports franchises to relocation, so it's really hard to say which cities had it worse. Here's another one, Brewers and Mariners. Brewers have been around since 1970, never won a World Series. Though they came close, 1982 they won a full 7 games, losing to the Cardinals. It's gotta suck to come that close to winning the World Series, and then 43 years later still waiting to get back there again. It really seems like it could be their year. Imagine if they can win a title with Robin Yount and Paul Molitor in attendance. Or maybe the Mariners win it with Ken Griffey Jr. and Ichiro looking on. Between the Padres, Mariners, and Brewers, it would be a big celebration if any of these teams can win it. Chicago sports fans will hate this one. Brewers and Tigers. Tigers have won the World Series 4 times, but not since 1984. And Detroit's got plenty of NBA and NHL titles. But seeing Tarek Skubal pitching in the World Series is something people would like to see. The 28-year-old is about to win his 2nd consecutive Cy Young Award. Everyone's talking about Skubal and Skeens lately, and we all know Skeens isn't getting anywhere near a World Series this year. But the Brewers have an interesting opposition on the mound with Jacob Misiorowski, a young pitcher who looks like he can be great in the future. He's not there yet, and you may say he's not ready for a showdown versus Skubal just yet, especially on that big of a stage. But imagine if he went out there and outdueled Skubal, leading to a Brewers World Series title. That would be something to see. Or maybe it's not a pitcher's duel, but rather a slugfest you want to see. In that case, Phillies and Mariners is the one to see. We'd get an East Coast-West Coast matchup with the NL and AL home run leaders, Cal Raleigh and Kyle Schwarber, both with over 50 already. Kinda like last year when we had Judge and Ohtani in the World Series. Only problem was the two main characters didn't really show up. Maybe this matchup we won't be disappointed. Or maybe we just bring back Judge and Ohtani with another Dodgers and Yankees World Series. I know some of you shudder at the idea of a Dodgers-Yankees rematch. I don't really want to see it either, and normally I'd say hell no to the same matchup 2 years in a row. But I can see how this one might be different. The two teams are 1-2 in MLB in home runs and team OPS, guaranteed to be a lot of offense. And it features the two hitters that really defined this era. Imagine if we had consecutive Bonds versus Griffey World Series in the 90s, or in the 60s if we had back-to-back Mays versus Mantle World Series. We'd look back on it fondly. But I know looking back on it and actually living it are two different things. Maybe mix and match with those last two. How about Dodgers and Mariners? The defending champs versus the never champs. Raleigh versus Ohtani, another possible matchup of 50 home run hitters. I'd also find it interesting that we'd see the two best hitting catchers, Raleigh and Will Smith, assuming Smith gets back. And this would be huge in the Japanese market, probably even bigger than last year's World Series. Ohtani's team versus Ichiro's old team, the two most recognizable teams in the country. I know since we're on the topic of 50 home run hitters, you'll probably expect me to say Phillies and Yankees next. And yeah, Schwarber and Judge would make it interesting. But you've got two East Coast teams located too close to each other, both been in the World Series recently, just met in the World Series 16 years ago. I don't think this is a matchup people are dying to see. Did not forget about the Blue Jays, and we can't think about the next Blue Jays World Series without thinking about the last one. Phillies and Blue Jays, that classic 1993 World Series, where Joe Carter hit the walk-off 3-run homer in Game 6, scoring Rickey Henderson and Paul Molitor to win the series for the Blue Jays. How great would it be to see these two meeting once again, 32 years later? If Game 6 is in Toronto, they have to bring out Joe Carter to throw the first pitch. Perhaps the Jays need a new World Series opponent. Jays versus Dodgers would be interesting. Two large cities, East and West, and two of the best pitchers in the last 15 years. We got to see Scherzer and Kershaw battle it out in the regular season, but how cool would it be to see them go head-to-head in the World Series? The two pitchers first met in 2008 when Kershaw was 20 and Scherzer was 24, last-minute replacements for Randy Johnson and Greg Maddux. They've since met in the postseason, and now with both of them nearing retirement, it would be great to see them on the biggest stage, even if they aren't going head-to-head in the same game. Just a proper send-off for two of the best pitchers of the 21st century so far. But when you mention great pitchers of the last 15 years, there are three names brought up. Jays versus Giants would allow us to see Scherzer and Justin Verlander on the big stage one more time. These two were teammates with the Tigers for 7 years, only faced each other once, and never in the postseason. Or maybe it's pitcher and hitter matchups we should think about. If we have a Dodgers and Tigers World Series, we get Skubal versus Ohtani. Skubal about to win his second straight Cy Young. Ohtani about to win his fourth MVP in 5 years. I can't think of a better one. And not just Ohtani, but all of the Dodgers hitting. You'd have the number one pitcher in the AL versus the number one offensive team in the NL. Those are the 12 matchups I came up with. Could be a different pair of teams. Padres-Red Sox could be really exciting, though I have no specific reason why it would be. Giants-Red Sox because of the Rafael Devers trade. Giants-Yankees would see the Giants return to their old city for a World Series, though we just saw that last year with the Dodgers in New York. Mets-Red Sox would be a rematch of the 1986 Bill Buckner World Series. Almost any two teams would make for an exciting World Series. The only one people don't want to see is Yankees and Mets. One time was enough. Maybe again next century, but not now. And no, I didn't forget about the Astros, but there's no World Series matchup involving the Astros that people would be really excited for. What's your dream matchup for the World Series? Let it be known in the comments. That's all for this one, and until next time, this is Baseball International. See ya.